The world of food and drink. It's full of private back doors, hidden menus, and secret ingredients. I am food writer Aun Koh. This week I'm in Jakarta, in search of some of the most well-guarded culinary secrets that this bustling city has to offer.
All right, so this is the moment of truth. That was beautiful.
This is Secret Delicious. Jakarta, Indonesia's wild and bustling capital. One way to experience Jakarta's food scene is to hit the streets. Street vendors here are a dime a dozen and are popular with locals. However, for my food journey, I'm exploring Jakarta's lesser-known dining scene, somewhere hidden away from city traffic.
I was recommended to meet Chef Andrea through a friend of a friend, and he said, look, if you're going to meet one chef, you got to meet Chef Andrea.
Local chef and restaurateur Chef Andrea is leading me to Jakarta's most esteemed hidden restaurant. But first, we're meeting in a not-so-secret place, Bakmi Mpekchun. This is a very sexy noodle house, very sleek, very modern. Are these noodles sort of the typical street noodles you'd find in Jakarta?
When I start the street food like this, I try to elevate in the different level. But the people in Indonesia, they are very expert and very picky with the street food. So they have a lot of requirement with a very cheap price.
Okay.
So this is a big challenge for us.
Street food doesn't need to be made fancy, but it needs to be just treated with respect so that people are willing to pay. People in Jakarta like really strong, punchy flavors. A lot of food here is MSG. That means that chefs who have a very refined palates, they're sort of changing the way they cook in terms of flavoring to suit local palates because you have to be able to sell your food end of the day. And you're not a trained chef, right?
I have no background as a chef, but I cook since I was 7 years old.
Okay, wow.
But I think it was horrible cooking when I was but
I think most 7-year-olds cooking are horrible. This was a guy that was a very, very respected professor in urban development who left Indonesia in the mid-90s. He ended up going to Europe and stayed in Europe for 15 years, but he wasn't a chef.
When I live in Europe, I of course miss my food in Indonesia. I start to make Indonesian food, just calling my mom and asking, hey, how you make this and so on and so on.
Andrea finally agrees to reveal the secret he's guarded closely to his own heart, his private atelier.
He basically came back and he started doing private dinners in this gorgeous, gorgeous house that his wife's mother had given to them, which was stunning. Very sort of like secret-y, kind of cool feeling. It has like ivy coming out, down the walls in the front, unmarked doors. And that just steamrolled into that little atelier space in what became Java Negra, one of the cooler private dining spots in the city. So this was never meant to be like a private dining or a restaurant or anything?
My party place.
Okay.
It's only for party.
Is it still a word of mouth kind of place? Like you don't advertise, no marketing, it's really just like people that know and people that can pay, because obviously it's expensive.
Yes. Even from outside you see no name. Only number.
So while foodies may have difficulties getting in here, the restaurant also faces its own set of challenges.
It's a challenging market for several reasons. Chefs have a hard time getting the kinds of things that they would like to have. Here, from what I've been told, even if you want to pay for something, you might not be able to get it.
This is our beef.
That's awesome. How do you get the beef? It's really beautiful stuff, but how do you get it?
Hand carry.
Okay.
So they have no other choice.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, doing aging beef is different.
Yeah.
The majority beef in Jakarta, they are frozen. When you do aging, you cannot use a frozen meat. It should be chilled.
Do you find a lot of the best stuff is exported and not like...
Yeah, a lot. Like this, you see the mantis shrimp.
That's beautiful.
Yes. This is, they exported to Japan. This is coming from Indonesia.
So what are we going to make?
Today I'm going to make grilled fish. I love fish. This is a grouper. So now I'm grilling it. I just grill it to get the smoky sensation.
Oh, nice.
Indonesian doesn't do a lot of grilling. Indonesian do a lot of frying. I'm going to put in the oven.
You're famous for doing all these sort of like special off-menu creative things in addition to just like the traditional Spanish.
I mix it because not everybody loves Spanish food. I also combine with other Indonesian food. So this is Spanish tapas.
And this is basically quite a typical Spanish dish. This is not sort of localized at all.
The localized is the material.
Okay.
The material is this soft shell crab.
Yeah. I like the fact that he is also introducing fusion tapas, where he's taking a combination of local ingredients or Spanish ingredients and either mixing it with local technique or Spanish technique.
Our fish is finished. I will make a grilled grouper with sambal rica. So this is basically inspired by the dish in Manado, but I make my own style.
What are these berries?
Lenca is green beans. It's a very soft, but has a very pungent flavor.
Okay.
But not spicy.
This is one of your secret dishes, basically.
Yes.
Oh, I'm very honored. I like the fact that he is exploring who he is, and I think that because he wasn't a trained chef, it took him a while to get there, to really feel confident of exploring flavors, techniques, like, you know, cooking a fish Mediterranean style, but then layering it with a topping that's a very Manado type sort of condiment.
Smell the smoky and also still sweet.
It's so tender.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. This is kind of the dish that I think as a family, if you came here, you'd ask every time, hey chef, can I make this?
Yeah.
I think Chef Andrea stands out in the local scene for a number of reasons. He's open to trying different ideas. I think he was insistent on a certain level of produce that not many chefs were insisting upon. Easily one of the most successful and inspiring restaurateurs and chefs I've met. This has been great, and to discover this little hidden gem in Jakarta has been wonderful.
It's a great pleasure.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
The drinking culture in the world's largest Muslim country is kept very much out of public eye. However, for the connoisseur, there are a few barriers that can keep him away from his favorite drinks. Howard Brawijaya, for example, is an avid whiskey collector and co-founder of the Indonesia Whiskey Research Society. He and his members gather in a secret location in North Jakarta to share some of the rarest whiskeys sourced from all over the world.
Hi.
Hi, Aun.
Must be Howard. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is a very cool, very strange place for a bar.
It is. Did you have trouble finding a place?
A little bit.
A little bit?
But
Sure.
It's cool though. I like it.
You know, I did not quite expect to find a whiskey club in the middle of an industrial neighborhood in Jakarta. Howard is a second-generation printer, so his society is based out of his printing factory. We walk through the print shop floor, up the stairs, where he reveals to me this amazing wall of whiskeys that he and his other members have collected over the years.
Guys, this is so cool. It's one of the nicest collections I've ever seen. Hard to get to, but you know, what is the Whiskey Society? I mean, tell me the story.
It's pretty much like a collective of people who just enjoy drinking. We all have like different levels of drinking experience, everything. We just pretty much share what we know, what we don't know, what we like, what we don't like.
So what does the society do?
The idea of this Jakarta, well, Indonesia Whiskey Research Society is we can all gather and research different types of whiskey. If you see the bottles there, they all have name tags on it.
Yeah.
They are all donated by our friends, our members.
It was a cool dynamic, you know. The four guys obviously get along really well. Andrew is the boss, so to speak. Howard has the collection, has the clubhouse. Kevin is the whiskey Wikipedia. Felix is the logistics guy. Felix runs all the events.
The entire club has around 40 members, and membership is exclusive and by invitation only.
Definitely, we are committed to one event every month where we probably talk about whiskey that they couldn't find here, which sometimes it's very rare whiskey.
For each of you, what are you really into right now?
So right now, I'm super into IBs, which are independent bottlers.
Explain that to me.
So all these independent bottlers are private companies. They bought casks from Scotland, and then they bottle it themselves. They select all these casks.
Okay, let's try this. Thank you very much. And so what do you look for when you first taste a new whiskey?
We try to get what notes that we get from the nose. And then we go to the palate and see what kind of notes we get. And then we look for the finish.
So how would you describe this one?
Sprightly. Yeah. Still very much alive.
What's been the best whiskey you've ever tasted? Like, you know, or let's say not best, because that's a bad thing. What most memorable you've ever had?
I do have one, but I don't think it's the whiskey that's special, but I think it's the place and time, that moment. So
nice.
That all affects it.
yeah, I was in Macallan Distillery last year. Then they gave me as a welcome drink. It's just a Macallan 12. But then at that moment, it felt like the best thing on earth.
Howard, this is like one of the most amazing walls you've ever seen. Are there any like really, really special whiskeys?
I think if you're talking about special whiskey, for me, it's how you get it. Most of them are by ballots only, so you have to enter a ballot. So we get this bottle out of a retailer in UK. I owned the bottle. I won one ballot, and Kevin actually won the other ballot.
Wow.
For the other bottle.
If you've heard of Karizawa, it's a distillery that's already dead. It's already closed. Everything's dismantled. Everything's destroyed. So whatever stocks that are left are the stocks that have been saved by a couple of Japanese people, and now we're just discovering how good it actually is.
Yeah. I've been told the prices for Karizawa are like completely insane.
Prices are insane, yeah. So if you get one,
it's just like a small fortune, like right here.
pretty much, yeah.
Will you ever open it, or is it just sort of like going to look at it for years?
I think
that's always a question.
We'll try to find the perfect moment to
Exactly,
open.
yeah.
Like now.
Yeah.
What's your philosophy on whiskey and cocktails?
I love whiskey.
But I
Do you
think,
really?
I think it's
Okay.
how everyone drink it.
So where would you go for like a good cocktail in Jakarta?
Indonesia actually has a lot of talented bartenders and everything. But then, well, I guess it's because of the culture and everything. People are not so used to drinking alcohol. There's this place called the Classic in Tulodong.
Yeah.
It's probably the best cocktail in Jakarta.
I think there's something about the more exclusive or the more sort of artisanal craft you are, the harder in a way you want it to be found.
The Classic was in what looked like someone's house.
I didn't think there was an actual bar there, but the security guard pointed me to this door. And you go up the staircase and you're at a dead end. So you just knock on the walls and eventually one of the panels opened up and it's the door to D Classic. And it's a really cool, very gentleman's club, speakeasy-ish kind of classic bar. Hi, Yutaka-san. How are you? Nice to meet you.
D Classic is headed by Yutaka Nakashima, a skilled and respected mixologist from Japan.
Yutaka-san, when I rolled up, it was a little hard to find the entrance.
Yeah.
Is that on purpose? That you keep it sort of semi-secret, semi-private?
Actually, we need to protect our shop concept. So if this shop become noisy, actually, no good for concept.
So you want it to be a serious, quiet drinking space.
Of course, people talking nice then become slightly noisy. Of course, I understand.
Okay.
But some people are standing, dancing. We don't allow.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes I talk
So
to
someone's
customer
dancing,
to,
you kick them out.
Yeah, says so sorry. Yeah. First time, of course, I say so sorry. But
Yeah.
second time, yes. Yeah. Third time, oi. Yeah. Something like that.
So you go from polite
Yeah.
Japanese to sort of angry, sort of almost Singaporean. Oi!
Because
Great places often have to create barriers for entry. That could be price, that could be rules. I mean, there are a lot of bars now around the world that have rules. You need to purposely be trying to find D Classics because you know what it is, and you're ready to spend the amount of money it takes to be a customer there, and ready to respect the craft of the mixologist.
Yutaka has bartended at some of the most high-end bars in Japan and Singapore. 2 years ago, he was approached and asked to move to Jakarta to become the head mixologist here at D Classic.
Actually, I would love to ask you, You've been here for a while now in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Is there a cocktail that has been inspired, or it might be inspired by Jakarta or Indonesia?
Oh, okay. Sure.
I'm going to test your creative skills.
Okay. Now I have one special liqueurs. This one called Jamu. This is a Jamu liqueur.
Liquor.
I made with vodka, turmeric, and young ginger, cloves, star anise, and tamarindo puree with a gramalaca. Some items are difficult to buy Jakarta, so no choice. Need to try to making.
Yes, it smells like something that you'd want to drink, but also something that you'd have in a spa at the same time. Right? Yeah. I remember reading when you stir the drink, you have to be as like silent as possible. it's very mesmerizing.
This is tequila with Jamu cocktails.
Wow.
Enjoy.
So this is because you make the spirit. This would be only one of its kind in the world, right?
Is it good for you?
Yes, it's very good for me. Sort of that right in the sweet spot in the middle, right? Very, very balanced, and very fragrant, very herbal. The Classic is an interesting kind of bar, right? I think every city needs one great bar because you know the people that really love what you do, people that really, really are passionate, will find you no matter what. Yutaka-san, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing this bar. I'm gonna just finish this slowly and soak in the atmosphere. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I think it'd be really hard to be a top chef here in Jakarta. I know a lot of guys who've come here and within 6 months, 1 year, they're looking for jobs in Bali. It's not a place that keeps great chefs entertained, keeps them passionate, keeps them happy.
Those who are willing to challenge the food scene sometimes do it in secret.
I was recommended to meet this guy, Rafa. He is doing private chefing in Jakarta. Only like an elite few know about him, but he's doing the coolest dinners. Not fancy fine dining stuff, but just really wonderful, hearty, clean, heartfelt stuff. What are you making?
All right, we're gonna do low and slow smoked short rib. This is an Australian, maybe grade 4 to 6.
So are you just using salt and pepper only, or do you have a special secret rub? Or
I tend to go more like a Texas style, which is just a salt and pepper, black and white. But I'm introducing flavors of like Barcelona.
Okay,
so
that's cool.
It's just kind of things that will work together. This is gonna go on. We'll feed the fire maybe every hour or so, 45 minutes.
Okay.
Takes about 6-7 hours, a couple hours rest.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. He has an amazing background, right? This is a guy that has worked in some of the best fine dining restaurants, Michael Mina, Wolfgang Puck, Nobu. I mean, he's worked for like the best of the best. And then, I think has decided that he needed to strike out on his own.
I got a call that somebody wanted to open an izakaya, the same one that we did in Bali here in Jakarta.
Okay.
So I came out here to do the izakaya.
Yep.
And naturally hung out in the city and kind of saw tremendous room for growth or potential for like, F&B.
Yep. Do you purposely try to stay under the radar, or is it your clients like the fact that you are very much like a exclusive secret kind of?
I'm not one to really put myself out. I'm kind of more the person that prefers to be behind the scenes.
Okay. In the future, are you gonna stop doing the private dining and open a restaurant, or?
Yeah, so we have a restaurant that's being built right now, and it all actually came about from doing these private dinners. So it's kind of like how this secret chef is now starting to surface.
Yeah.
I'm working with a farm now that's going to be growing a lot of stuff for pancha, for the restaurant. So we're going to start introducing more ingredients.
In a place like Indonesia, which has so much agriculture, so much land, I would have assumed that the farm-to-table movement would have caught on. Is that not the case?
Not really. I mean, there are a lot of farms, but they're more for commercial farming to grow crops fast and big and cheap, not necessarily about quality. So we're going the other way. We're focusing on very small scale, and we're trying to produce the highest quality.
All right, so this is a moment of truth.
Ready?
Yep.
Let's take a look. Is there? Yeah, that's ready.
That was beautiful.
Oh, that's good.
That's awesome. And I think there's a big trend now of chefs using private dining to test out ideas. So I think it's really smart to take your time to really build up a loyal audience. And also you can find investors that way.
We are finally getting around to lunch. On today's menu, bucatini carbonara, brioche lobster rolls, and of course, those smoked short ribs. I'm joined by Hannah, one of the investors in Rafa's new restaurant.
How's it going, guys?
Thanks so much for letting us use your place.
Yeah, so this is Hannah's home. We've been using Hannah's home as our test kitchen to, kind of fine-tune some of the menu items for our upcoming restaurant, Pancha.
When did you first have his cooking?
I think it was about, 7 months ago. And I had had his other food in other restaurants, but this one was different. When I tasted it, it was like, wow.
Okay.
There's nothing like this in Jakarta.
I'm gonna start with this, because I'm dying to dig in, that's okay. Please, you should also dig in a chicken.
I'll watch.
The bucatini is fantastic because it's hollow.
Yeah.
You get this wonderful texture, and also it gets some of the sauce and all that.
Yeah.
Lovely. I'm gonna dig in some more.
There's definitely some underlying layers. The pork broth that we use to bring it together is like a tonkatsu broth.
Where are the lobsters from?
These are from the US.
Okay.
Yeah, Maine lobsters.
One of the things that Rafa's really good at is like making something that appears to be really simple, but actually there's a lot that goes behind it. There's a lot of layering of flavors.
It speaks a lot to technique, right?
Yeah.
But people think carbonara is like 3 or 4 things, but you obviously have a lot of things going on in there.
Yeah.
Same way with this. There's a lot of layered flavors, which is really lovely.
Yeah, we try to. We don't take any shortcuts. I never have. So.
Yeah.
And that's why I teach my cooks, and they love it too.
So what state is the restaurant in? How far along are we?
We're a few months out right now. It's a lot of construction, a lot of final decisions with furniture.
There are very few chefs that are pushing the quality of produce that Rafa is obviously obsessed with working with. Andrea actually is one of the few other guys that is as obsessed. And you need that. You need chefs, mixologists or chefs or restaurateurs who are willing to be the first ones to break down barriers. And this is a capital city of one of the world's biggest countries. It would be a shame if Jakarta didn't have world-class restaurants.